Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today, angered at the continuation of trade with their enemies, the Britons, Frankish forces have crossed the Pyrenees with the intention of controlling all Portuguese trade in the Atlantic. And so Lisbon begins mustering his defenses as Barles, playing as the Portuguese in blue, gets ready to defend against GL.DauT, playing as the Franks in red. Now, while the players herd their herdables, explore their immediate surroundings, and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP, why don't we take a look at the Civ matchup that we are going to be watching today. Now, the Portuguese are a civilization whose economic bonuses allow it to take advantage of incredibly strong gunpowder units. To get an early game boost to your economy, Portuguese foragers also generate wood while they collect their berries. All Portuguese units cost 20% less gold. All technologies are researched 25% faster, except for going up to the next age. And once you hit Imperial, you can build the unique structure of the Portuguese, the Feitoria. This is an economic building that auto-generates all 4 resources, but does take up 20 population space. Now, using all of these bonuses, these features, these structures and units, the Portuguese can field an impressively powerful gunpowder army, as the Portuguese have access to every single non-unique gunpowder unit in the game, both on land and sea. And unless this game goes on for about 20 million years, I don't think we're going to get to see any sea units in the in this matchup. Now, all of these gunpowder units can be upgraded to fire more accurately at moving targets and increase the speed of their projectiles, which does strongly benefit their unique unit, the organ gun. This is a gunpowder siege unit that fires 5 or 6 bullets in a small spread designed to hit multiple targets at once, and does come with a small attack bonus against infantry, skirmishers, and even buildings. Now, pivoting to the east, we've got GL.DauT commanding the Frankish forces as they enter Lisbon. We've got the OG cavalry civilization harkening back all the way to Age of Kings, which I've said it before, I'll say it again because I'm nothing if not a broken record. That was last century, not something I ever expected to say when I was in my teens. But yeah, last century, yikes. Frankish knights come with extra line of sight. Their stables can be upgraded to work much faster, and all of their mounted units get extra HP starting in Feudal Age. Now, to support their heavy cavalry on the field of battle against pesky, annoying things like possibly pikemen or even halberdiers, the Franks can turn to their unique unit, the Throwing Axemen. This is a ranged infantry unit similar to the Malian Gabeto, whose range can be even further increased. Now, to help players train as many throwing axemen as possible, Frankish castles do come with that infamous discount. Although it was recently nerfed, it's now 15% cheaper to build a castle in Castle, and then 25% cheaper to build a castle in Imperial. Now, to feed a big militaristic Frankish hungry wine and cheese population, Frankish foragers do work 15% faster, and they get all mill upgrades for free. As always, lately we've had a lot of maps spawning with elephants and rhinos, which is my favorite because we get to see if the villagers take any pokes in the ass. And yeah, unfortunately, 2 villagers. Oh, GL.DauT playing with fire as 1 villager here. Look at that. Look at that. Not only did she take damage, she then fired an arrow into the ostrich's butt. Let's see if Barles has taken damage. Yep, 2 villagers here are damaged. Okay. I'm still waiting, as I always do, to fanboy out at a perfect pull with elephants and rhinos. But in any event, while the players both get loom, and I'm assuming our Frank is going to go up to feudal very shortly, he is 1 villager ahead, rather has 1 villager more. Let's put it like that. Good time for us to look at the bases and see where the resources have spawned. Primary gold, yikes, for our Portuguese, very exposed to the front, although has already built a house. So I'm assuming there's going to be a wall off either north-south or diagonally making use of this gold. Now, luckily for our Portuguese, he does have a little bit of gold in the back. Primary stone, not on the attack path, and forests fantastically placed. We're going to say 3.5 because this is not too far of a forest, and it can be used as a wall off. So we'll say 3 forests if you want to be optimistic and you're pro-Portuguese in the Peninsular War that I was describing in the intro of the video. We'll call it 3.5. Where's the extra gold? Ugh, annoyingly placed. Ugh, stone. Very far forward here. So our Portuguese is going to have to make do with the resources very close in hand. Otherwise, he's going to have to take some big risks to go out onto the map. Frank, also decent forest coverage. Okay, so we're back to an Arabia that doesn't have forests that are 35 tiles away from the town center. Also primary gold, annoyingly placed very, very forward. And unlike our Portuguese, who has it in a bit of a plain, DauT's gold is on top of, rather on the slope of a hill. So mining camp here might be very annoying to place, although we'll see what he decides to do. DauT always, always a big question mark about how DauT's going to play any civilization. Always fun to watch. Primary stone nice and secure in the back, also has a patch of gold to the back, and also has 2 additional resources in an incredibly forward position, although his stone not exactly on the attack path, whereas the stone of his opponent, look at that, literally in a line of attack between these 2 bases, which by the way are not far from one another with a lot of ridges and mountains. So we'll see how that works out. Always fun to see maps with elevation and bonuses and stuff like that. So those are the 2 bases. I think they're fairly equal, actually. I don't really see any big disadvantage. There's always the player that somehow spawns in a corner versus the player that spawns along the edge and not in a corner. Always advantaged with having an extra forest that's really, really safe and secure. If DauT walls his base off, there's no way that Barles is going to be able to get to this forest, whereas if DauT walls his base off, if Barles walls his base off, DauT can easily attack any forest loggers over here. A little tiny forest here, not really expecting that to play much of a role. Okay, let's take a look at the map because we've got military movement. Both players, 23 villagers a pop, 4 army count for our Portuguese. What is it? Spears and a scout. Spears and more scouts for our Frank. Now that we're in feudal, his 45 HP scout will be 54. 45 for our Portuguese, 54 for the Frank. With that 20% extra bonus, might want to complete the wall off here. Although, never mind. I don't know why you rushed so much over here, seeing as how the south here is completely open. By the way, has he must have scouted this. No, he hasn't. Does DauT assume that this forest goes all the way to the edge of the map? Because if he does, might be problematic for him. If our Portuguese just right clicks anywhere into the base and the units auto move to take advantage. Here we go. Possibly our first kill. High ground going to our Frank at the moment. Tinkle, 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 go the stars. I love these kinds of things in Age of Empires. There's a lion. He's got his hunting grounds. He's got zebras, ostrich, even a relic. Oh no, and bad news for our Portuguese is the lion now activates against his scout, which already has less HP. So small little clumps of units chasing each other. Looks like our Portuguese has been taking some pretty shitty engagements here. His spearmen are, did I say scouts? I think I meant spearmen. I was about to say it again. His spearmen are very much more damaged than his opponent. What happened here? How did the lion retarget and now is going after the red spearmen? Not too sure how that's happening, but in any event, a little bit of a Wizard of Oz situation here as the townsfolk are running away from the lion. Not so cowardly. Let's see what's going on. This is just absolute, not a lot of action, but it's pretty, am I the only one who finds this kind of shit exciting? Oh, and I don't know what the hell's going on here. Lions on the high ground. This is the moment our Portuguese chooses to poke the Frankish spearmen. And finally, it is DauT who draws first blood 14.5 minutes into the game, as he's also circling the western perimeter of his opponent's base. Okay, he has discovered that this is open and so has walled it off. Not 1, but 2 palisades will give him a good early warning system against his opponent trying to bust in through that corner, that nook. I mean, the players aren't really investing in feudal age armies. They're both building massive populations at the moment. 15 minutes in, they're both at 33 villagers. They're not really taking big fights, although our Portuguese absolutely demolishes this expeditionary force of bipedal units. Unfortunately, the horsey boys are still here. They've been exploring the map for a while, so DauT doing a great job exploring the very edges of his opponent's base. Might want to explore here, and I believe his scouts are heading directly there. With 54 HP, it does allow these scouts to stay a little bit longer in the fight against the spearmen. Spearmen doing 18 damage, if I'm not mistaken. They do the 3 damage and then another 15 on top of that. Scouts without any armor, I believe. No armor whatsoever. Trying to bust in through the gold, picking a pretty damn good palisade to attack, by the way. It's going to be very hard for DauT to repair or Okay. Forget repairing. He just turns tail. Repurposes his gold miners. Now they're lumberjacks. Did he drop off that gold that they were carrying? Were they carrying gold? Those with quicker eyes will know the answer. Okay. So he's not too concerned. I thought maybe he was going to create a bit of a secondary wall, but Barles abusing this annoying hill location, which always plays tricks on people. Might want to wall it off here so that Barles can't really engage. Might want to create a funnel, as we've seen some pro players do. But for now, he's collecting wood. I mean, our Frank has 688 wood, 738. What is all this wood for? Extra town centers don't need not 800 wood. Okay. He has busted in, but he's not really moving forward as they're both heading into Castle Age. So I figured when they stopped investing in their Feudal Age armies that they were going to go into Castle Age, and pretty excited. These are two fun Castle Age civilizations. I mean, the Franks, I would say, peak in the later stages of the game, much later. Probably Imperial is their strongest suit, whereas the Portuguese really can pack a punch, even in early Castle Age with a castle and organ guns. Although I don't see any indication of that happening anytime soon with 0 villagers on stone. Instead, he's going cav archers? Yeah? Does Barles think he's playing the Persians with Parthian tactics available in Castle Age? Scout has managed to penetrate the base. Is he seconds too late? Seconds too late. Will he catch it? He catches it just the tip. He sees a second town center, has not caught wind of the third, although probably might if his scout continues exploring. Another lion pays the price. Barles' army is pretty weak on its HP, but he also places a second town center. So DauT, what is DauT going to do with 650 wood? I still have no clue. Unless a massive infrastructure project starts happening here, unless he takes advantage of the mill bonus and starts plopping down an inordinate amount of farms, we'll see what the hell he's choosing to spend all of those 2x4s on. Now, you might be wondering why I was so surprised that our Portuguese is going cav archers. I mean, it's Hera who streams on Twitch on Mondays and has off-meta Mondays, where he tries wonky builds of the various civilizations. I don't think the Portuguese get heavy cav archers. I don't think they even have Parthian tactics, for what it's worth me mentioning the Persians. They are literally the exact opposite of the Persians in that regard. Whereas the Persians get it early, the Portuguese get it never. So what you're looking at right now, like a Teuton scout, this is as good as it gets for a Portuguese. I mean, he can't obviously upgrade it to the full extent in Castle Age, but beyond that, very interesting play so far. DauT obviously opting to go for the heavy cavalry that the Franks are known for. That got them a little bit in trouble in the 100 Years' War, but this is not England they're facing. This is Portugal. And I don't know what I would rather face off against. An army of longbowmen who have to train by law every Sunday, as the Britons had to do, or an army of arquebus Portuguese gunpowder. If you're not familiar with the Portuguese upgrade I described, arquebus, it's basically ballistics for gunpowder units, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see if we ever see gunpowder units. 2 monks right now being trained for our Portuguese. No monks. Does he have a monastery at all? No, he's going up to another town center. Okay. We'll have to wait and see what the game plan is for our Frank, because at the moment, the game plan for our Portuguese seems to be keep the Frank in his base while my monks start exploring the map and gathering relics. How much of the map has he seen? He's seen 1, 2, 3, 4 relics. Has not seen the 5th up here just yet. Wow. Okay, so he's seen all of the relics but 1. Finally, the Dark Age scout for our Frank is dead. But the Scorpion with its 7 pierce armor will last a long time against these cav archers. Will eventually die, but will last a long time. And now DauT, the very aggressively placed. I love when this stuff happens. Oh, he's repairing the air. What's the name of that? What's the name of that weird instrument that was invented in the Soviet Union? The theremin. If you're not familiar, it's an instrument where it uses sound waves to make sound. So you basically just see somebody like that villager that was repairing a hammering into thin air. You see somebody standing and just moving their hands up and down, and it makes these weird, eerie, kind of organ-like sounds. I think it's called the theremin. I'm not sure. I think it was invented in the Soviet Union back in the 50s and 60s when the Soviet Union still existed. That's what that always reminds me of, when the villagers repair siege and the siege moves, but the villagers don't move with it. They just keep repairing and keep hammering at open air. I just expect that weird, like, sound that it makes. So our Portuguese playing Cav Archers thinks he's Persian. Our Frank playing 5 town centers thinks that he's Sicilian, is going to call a crusade. Very interesting game so far. Not gonna lie. We're 26 minutes into the game. Both players have... I mean, our Frank has a more traditional army composition here. Oh, loses a monk. That is sour. He has the more traditional army composition, loses a monk knight to a conversion, and that knight is going to get one of the scorpions, and down it goes, another converted knight. I mean, take a look at the top left of the screen once this battle is over, and tell me you can make heads or tails of anything that you see here. 19 Cav Archers, 4 monks, 3 spearmen, 2 skirmishers, 2 converted knights, and a mangonel. Because who doesn't love mangoes? They are in season somewhere in the world. Oh, you forget bloodlines. I think you need ballistics for these Cav Archers. And now they're doing... What is happening? Why are Cav Archers attacking a monastery? And how the hell do they expect to take this thing down? By the way, I just noticed the 2 bells and the at the top there. Always fun to notice new things in Age of Empires. This is a game I've been watching and playing for 30 years almost. A 4th town center going up for our Portuguese, so they're going full on economy. Isn't it always fun when you've watched a movie like 7 times? Like I've watched Casino, for example. I've watched Dodgeball, Goodfellas. I've watched all of these movies in the double digits, more than 10 times each. And it's always fun when you notice a new detail in a movie. Just like with Age of Empires, it's always fun when you notice, I don't know what the hell this is, a sack of cement, a sack of barley for the ale, for the throwing axemen inside. I always have a fun time with that. Our Portuguese, by the way, has done a fantastic job of making sure that DauT doesn't doubt him with some kind of weird castle drop or some kind of wonky attack. Sends in a knight, possibly to scout, most likely to die. And there's ballistics, there's leather archer armor. So these Cav Archers are going to be pretty capped out for Castle Age. But his opponent already has a castle, now a competing castle all the way to the defensive side of the map. Again, I struggle to think what the game plan here is, because I'm assuming he's trying to keep his opponent back. But if that's the case, why is your castle here? He does have 3 relics. He will lose a villager to this chevauchee of Frankish knights, who absolutely have no qualms about getting down a villager. Why is the monk standing here? And why is the gate open? Move back. Okay, he notices it, immediately walls off behind here, but does lose a monk for a knight. Not terrible. Longevity of that knight, of course, not great, because he is frozen in time. Like, what's the name of that actor in Encino Man? What's the name of that actor? Brendan Fraser from The Mummy. Uh-oh, Cav Archers move in. This might be a one-way trip for them. They're stuck between 2 mangonels and a castle that's 83% complete. Oh, what is going on here all of a sudden? What is happening? I see some action in the middle of the map. We'll look at that in picture, but Barles is not focusing at all. That was a very sour loss of units there for him. Castle not targeting the weaker Cav Archers, doesn't manage to get more than 1 at the moment. Actually 2, I guess, from when they were hanging out here. But what a weird engagement there for our Portuguese, who I don't think he lost that much, but look at the HP on these units. He's kept them alive. 2 mangonels and a bunch of villagers are dead. 17 villager kills to 1. What was he focusing on back here that was drawing his attention away? Another defensive castle. He wants to gather the resources. So our Portuguese is walling his base off. The last thing he wants is a whole bunch of Frankish light cavalry trying to swarm his base, because like I said, when you play against DauT, who knows what the hell to expect. And now he's building his stables all the way to the back. They're both heading up to Imperial. This is obviously a psychological warfare situation happening for our Frank, who doesn't want our Portuguese to be aware of anything that's happening. Our Portuguese has not seen any military industrial complex except a stable, a barracks, which for the Franks, what are you gonna do with a barracks, and a siege workshop. More and more knights are streaming out from the back of the base. Did our Frank get chivalry, I wonder? No, he did not, because he's not in Imperial Age yet. Chivalry will basically... It's like perfusion for the Goths. It makes their stables work 40% faster. And first to Imperial is our Frank. He's got an outpost. He's starting to get line of sight all over the place. Oh, will this villager discover that relic? Mangonel guns down a Scorpion. We'll gun down this one too if it's not careful. I feel like that blue villager just walked right by that relic. And I mean, there are civilizations in this game. When they get map control, it's basically game over. The Portuguese could potentially be one of them. Why did you let that outpost complete? Weird recollection, regathering, reconstitution of units. And now he's in Imperial Age. His Cav Archers are stuck. They can get more attack and defense upgrades, but they're not going to be heavies. Unless I'm completely wrong. I don't think the Portuguese get heavy Cav Archers. We'll see. We'll find out. Ooh, I love this secondary wall up here by Barles. This is something that pro players do not do enough, in my opinion, is stone defense. And now they're Cavaliers. But our Frank, he's down only 5 villagers, 121 to 126. This is a fantastic trade for him. He is fully armored. Of course, he is fighting archer units. Why the hell wouldn't you get fully armored? And here come some halberdiers for our Portuguese. And to counter the halberdiers, the throwing axemen. I love it when my opening intro actually works out to be basically. It comes to pass. More halberdiers hiding inside this castle. A real psychological warfare game here between both players who really don't want to reveal their armies. We're getting squires, conscription, iron casting. These throwing axemen will move faster. They'll hit harder. They'll train faster. But we'll see if DauT even gives him time. Now he's the one with the bigger, rather better army. The bigger army still going to our Portuguese. But DauT has to be careful. The last thing you want to do when you've only got 16 villagers on gold and you've been locked inside your base for the entire game is throw away potential paladins. Because every single cavalier, you know how in the streetcar named Desire, they say a stranger is just a friend you haven't met. Well, a cavalier is just a paladin who hasn't been given a chance. 3 HP. Get the hell out of here. You don't need to raid right now. Get the hell. Even a villager could kill this. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, 3 cavaliers die in at the same exact time, simultaneously. Well, that was fun to watch. 25% discount now on Castle Blast Furnace as well. So these cavaliers are going to pack a real punch. He's going up to 19 throwing axemen. Okay, DauT's slowly starting to gather the gold and the food needed to upgrade his cavaliers. He stopped training them altogether. Losing a castle, not the worst for the Frank. For the Portuguese, obviously paying full price for the castle. Definitely devastating loss, but with 2400 HP, I don't really expect 3 cavaliers, especially from the low ground, to get rid of that castle anytime soon. I want to bring them here, though. Whose army? I feel like we're in Feudal Age, where it doesn't really matter what units you have. It's really about the positioning and the micro right now. As holy moly, how many throwing axemen is he losing? They're not the most expensive units, but they're not free. We got gunpowder and trebuchets taking on trebuchets. Throwing axemen to zone out the halberdiers. Halberdiers to zone out the cavaliers. The cavaliers want to close in on the cav archers. The cav archers want to close in on the throwing axemen. An absolute potential banger of a last battle here. Although I say last battle, the villager counts are pretty good. We might be seeing a bunch of engagements for the foreseeable future here. Oh, annoying as DauT tries to get more stone. There is Bearded Axe. I wonder if he should be focusing on chivalry. Where did his gold go? He used it to go for trebuchets? Is there a single building here you need trebs for at the moment? Why did he not upgrade his cavaliers to paladins? The last thing anyone in this game wants to face. There's Arquebus. I guess for the 2 bombard cannons? Okay. The last thing anyone wants to face in Age of Empires in any game. I don't care who you are. Unless I guess you're the Saracens or the Incas or the Italians or I guess a few other civilizations. Always take what I say with an asterisk. is a 192 HP Frankish Paladin. I think you've got enough villagers here to build a castle. I think 25 villagers will be able to hold off 5 halberdiers. And here we go. Cavaliers have had enough, but look at the beautiful high ground taken here by our Portuguese, who is at full 200 population, so he wants to take a fight. He wants to start trading out army, even though his gold count is shit. I mean, this is just disastrous for DauT. Why the hesitation? We have to go back and look at the 42.5-minute mark of the game. Why the hesitation? Oh my god. His army just got demolished. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, psychologically, this battle proves way too much for our Frank, who GG's and taps out. I felt like he was going to engage 2 or 3 times, and then he didn't. Okay, so what are we working with here? Look at this hero. Look at this champ. This Jon Snow cavalry archer standing against the tide of Frankish oppression. Tell us who to trade with, F you, he says. However, they say that in Portuguese. All I know is vaffanculo in Italian. So let's get rid of the bombards. Let's get rid of the trebs just so we see our meat. Actually, nah, forget the bombard cannons. We'll keep an eye out on what kind of damage they do, but we've got 36 halberdiers. Oh, that's a lot of halberdiers. Only 13 throwing axemen, 24 cavaliers, 17. Oh, man. I mean, the HP is very similar, about 10% more for the Frank with those ridiculous 20% more HP cavaliers, but 36 glorified pikemen, even 13 throwing axemen are going to have a tough time against that. So let's see what happens here. And I'm also going to keep an eye on these bombard cannons to see what they do to the... why does it say 15? Oh, because there's 2 over here. There's 1 over here. There's 1 joining here. Anyway, let's see what happens. So the Cavaliers move in. Barles, of course, goes to take the high ground. Why wouldn't he? Bombard cannonballs absolutely miss. So BBC's first shot shit. DauT disengages. In the meantime, his throwing axemen are taking damage as they kill halberdiers. Jon Snow dies here on the left side. He moves in again and then turns around again. So DauT already twice has kind of, but not really taken the engagement. There's still 33 halberdiers. And now look at the HP. A lot closer than it was. Throwing axeman count lowered to 10. And by the way, it doesn't look like the numbers are changing significantly, but remember, this is in a few seconds. And so now he retreats again, which always inures to the benefit of the ranged unit, especially with 7 range. It'll keep, and ballistics, we'll keep firing on these units, taking down HP after HP. Cavalier trying to take on a band of... Now Barles disengages. Okay, he wants to move here to the right so he can snipe these throwing axemen. And this is Barles' best case scenario here, as DauT throws his entire army into attacking halberdiers, while the cav archers on the high ground, dealing 25% more damage, are just raining down hell on the rest of his army. And oh man, who cares if you lost 19 halberdiers? Wow, what an absolute disaster for DauT. I understand the inclination of wanting to pull back the first time. You want to charge, you think your opponent's going to take a battle, you're all gung-ho, you know, blood's flowing to certain parts, you're really antsy in the pantsy, and then your opponent takes this ridiculous high ground, and then you're like, okay, you know what, I can't fight uphill. I can't fight uphill with cavaliers into frickin' halberdiers, even with throwing axemen. It's impossible. It's ridiculous. I understand the first pullback. Why the second engage and attempt? Did Barles get off the high ground? No, he's still on the high ground. So what's with this move in? Look at the confusion. So DauT, a little bit of hesitation. Didn't really pull the trigger. And then Barles, at that point, if your opponent isn't going to set the pace of the battle, the location of the battle, you sure as hell should. And he does exactly that. He just moves forward with his halberdiers, and DauT throws up his hands says, okay, I might as well take an engagement, and then loses his entire Cavalier force. Wow, what a great battle for our Portuguese, who takes this high ground, and now he's plopping down a castle, more infrastructure. He's just, look at the minimap. He's just everywhere. And even though this castle managed to get up, there is a Cav Archer here. 5 kills? Oh my goodness. 1 dead villager, 2, 3 dead villagers. I don't know what these things are, these puddles of ooze. Maybe the halberdiers that this castle must have killed. Yeah, those 3. No, those are still here. I don't really know what these puddles are. There's another dead villager. Wow, what an absolute... I mean, DauT should not have gone to take this engagement, but I get it that he doesn't really have a choice now that a castle is being put up. Maybe that's why he decided to engage after all of this. And okay, DauT just saying, you know what, F this. I'm just gonna StarCraft Terran nuke my own base. And wait for it. Boom. They all drank the Kool-Aid. They all are now waiting for the mothership to pick them up. And oh, that's so gross. That is so gross to see that all at once, all the blood, the gore, the guts. He still had some reinforcements to the back. Why didn't he just pull back? This is not that important of an area to lose. Even if you lose the town center, what's here? A university you're not researching anything out of? A couple of lumberjacks, a market that you can rebuild with your 1,000 wood? There's really not much critical infrastructure here. DauT wisely chose to place his infrastructure all the way to the back so that he could take a punch. He could absorb some kind of penetration, some kind of push into his base. So a very strange last engagement for our Frank, but doesn't really matter because our Portuguese forced it with a castle, with trebs, with bombard cannons, who, despite getting not great attacks initially, are now wreaking havoc on the siege of his opponent. Let's take a look at the stats. 75 halberdiers, 65 cavaliers. Wow, okay. PKPM for Barles, okay. Mr. Yo style right at the beginning of the game, queuing furiously. 10 minutes in is for our Frank. And let's say, I can't imagine the economies being too different. Yeah, exactly. Even with the relic, I guess if you subtract the relics, it's... Wow, is that... I think if you subtract the relics, it might actually come out to an identical... This is 1700. So 5-2. This might be an identical economy if you subtract the relics, which is hilarious. That is hilarious. 4 relics, though. So as the game went on, more and more advantage to our Portuguese, who leads in wood. Surprisingly, given how much wood DauT had in Feudal Age for some reason. Food goes to our Frank. No surprise there. Gold goes to our Frank as well. And stone going to our Portuguese. 1 castle's worth of stone. 5 conversions out of 124%. Our Frank didn't even bother. 0 conversions, 9 buildings destroyed. So it's not really the destruction of the buildings that was problematic. It's, in my opinion, why did he need trebs? If you're playing defensive the whole game, you're backed into your base. You've got another forest here, by the way. So losing these lumberjacks, even less relevant. So I really don't know why he didn't go Paladin. I guess he wanted the trebs. I guess he wanted to put... I guess DauT said, you know what, enough's enough. I'm done defending. I'm just going to push out. And unfortunately for him, the Portuguese was already there with his army of Castle Age Cav Archers with Imperial Age upgrades. I mean, we've seen some wonky builds in the recent past. I don't know what's going on with this latest patch, but we're seeing some pretty damn wonky builds and pretty interesting army compositions. And I think Portuguese Cav Archer, again, somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no heavy Cav Archers for the Portuguese. So this is a unit whose usefulness, I want to say, capped out 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago, but that would kind of be inaccurate. These guys did a pretty good amount of damage. 42 kills is almost 3 kills per Cav Archer. 2.5 kills per Cav Archer is amazing. Although you are sniping throwing axemen with their shitty range. Even with bearded axe, it's only 5 range. But overall, Barles doing an amazing job stopping DauT from doubting him with a castle drop. And look at the infrastructure for our Portuguese, all in the forward position. Has a clear architectural strategy ever showed itself, with the aggressive player building all of the infrastructure forward, our defensive player building all of the infrastructure backwards. And this is just an absolute classic of a game. A few interesting engagements. DauT, though, really hesitating in this battle. The first time, like I said, I get it. You don't want to fight on the low ground. Second time, a little bit more confusing. And then just choosing to engage when you have so many reinforcements. 11 throwing axemen, 5 cavaliers could have easily helped out, especially when your opponent now has only 16 halberdiers left. Although without the trebs with paladins, maybe you could have taken that engagement a little bit better. Doesn't really matter. We don't live in the multiverse. We live in the now, in the present. And in the present, it is Barles who takes the battle on the high hill here, takes with it the W, but GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.